Flame on! How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to another. I'm here with my guest, Robert. How you doing?
Yo!
And making his Blaze Nation return after almost a year.
Let me try.
Okay.
Wonderbat.
I had to separate the occasion. How you doing, buddy?
Even I have disowned that thing.
All right, I won't play it anymore. I won't play it anymore. I'm surprised I still have it on my computer, honest to God. But back to this. If you're just now joining us, this is a follow-up to a very acclaimed video we did. What if Damian Wayne was the son of the demon? Now, to those unaffiliated, this is basically based on the Mike Barr's 1987 graphic novel. Could be 1986. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Son of the Demon story. It's a standalone Elseworld story, mostly based off Neil Adams and the Bronze Age characterization of Talia al Ghul. Bruce and Talia end up with child, and then Talia ultimately fakes a miscarriage and gives the baby up for adoption. This is the first true time a concept of the son of Batman is taken seriously in official DC media, and was officially referenced in 1996's Kingdom Come.
And with the character was given more depth during the Kingdom.
That is true. Because in the main story, Ivan doesn't really play much of a role.
He's just one of the things that really encouraged Bruce to get involved in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. Pika, your opinion?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Sorry about the dog.
It's all right.
What was I about to say again? Yeah, about Ibn. Yeah, different version of Damian or Proto Damian as Ibn XUFFASH, or that's how Finnish part of how to pronounce that.
Basically, Ibn was more of an aristocratic rather than an assassin.
Yeah, we talked about that about 2 years ago when we went over the kingdom. It is a weird or some of if you compare the two in the aspect or how if you compare two different I would say the base models on how Damian is drawn now and how he was drawn like back then, and the base model how Ibn is drawn. There's the aspect that Ibn was not exactly shown in the Kingdom or Kingdom Come as the same young child, like a pre-10-year-old or after.
Oh no,
10-year-old.
He was already a young adult and very much Ra's Junior looking wise.
Yeah, it's that it was given very basic like features that it was like Raz's facial features, but the outline figure. Like if you had him stand like a silhouette somewhere, you could see a young Bruce, but with the Rouse-like features.
But he was also the type. Sorry.
Yeah, and then there's also the fact that he was portrayed with kind of like a similar silk-ish long hair, like how Damian is portrayed, like either a buzz cut or something of an anime hair that they do nowadays.
Although I will just say, looking back over the Kingdom, I still don't know how to feel about how Ibn had utilized manipulating Brainiac and Lex, who was a big part of Kingdom Come, and just to prove that they were trying to backstab him, had him killed. It was like, I don't know how to feel about that. It's like,
No, that could be like some aspect or something like older generation not liking the replacements.
Yeah, but it's more the fact that because of how much Lex had a big part in Kingdom Come, that made it feel more off. Like, really? He's the one who kills off Lex?
Could be so that the Convergence gave the Kingdom Come like some better death.
Well, yeah. But then the Ra's one just felt like a typical Ra's death.
Yeah, Sunday Way at least had autonomy to take control of it and still make it Ibn's fault.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that sounds in character.
Oh, very much so. Ibn is definitely, that's one thing he and Damian have in common. Is that they both are willing to kill if necessary. But Damian does not. Ibn did not have Bruce there to try and get it out of him.
Yeah.
So that hasn't gone anywhere. Although then pairing him up with Nightfire.
That certainly was a choice.
Although I did always love about Bruce being like, oh, by the way, about his parentage. It's like, oh, you knew he was just like getting enjoyment out of that.
That was a textbook example of a dick move.
But he was getting an enjoyment out of it. I think it was meant to be similar to how he took the wind out of Lois and Clark's sails about the pregnancy announcement. I think it was meant to be similar.
That was basically something. Well, that.
No, I'm just saying. I think it was playing off at the taking the going to get similar.
Yeah, similar take as in playing off the characterization from there. But if you compare it to like something about, if we go by the aspect of what is that or think about what does it say as Kingdom Come Brood as a character? If we go that he wasn't aware of Ibn until much later, even later than with Damian, and then when he learned that he is.
Oh yeah, it was too late. It was too late.
Nightfire, there was no parental bonding between them, and
definitely.
And if he saw her,
up there, hey, Jay's back.
Sorry about that.
We were just talking about Ibn during the Kingdom, like how I disagree with him killing off Lex and Brainiac.
Oh, okay. All right. That's awesome. All right.
Well, we were talking about that. Yep, we were talking about that. We were talking about how Ibn, like the whole Bruce leading into Dick and saying, oh, by the way, about Ibn's parentage.
Yeah, it's basically at that point. It's you could say that if Ibn was came to Bruce's life later than Damian was, there was no parental bond between them. It would have been something like, okay, Bruce acknowledges that it's.
But he knows how Dick's gonna act.
Yeah, he knows how it's gonna act and go along with it just to the point of just doing just. By the way, but he's actually not acknowledging probably didn't at that time acknowledge Ibn as as his old child, and just says that by the way, she is one that
your daughter is dating my son.
Is dating Bruce's son, or maybe it was like a distance from it from that aspect that it's Ibn is his son, but it's basically
Bruce never officially legitimized him. Bruce didn't even know of his existence until he was a grown man. And depending on the continuity we're talking about, Grayson is still considered a ward by Bruce, not his adoptive son.
But again, the smile on Bruce's face, the way Bruce does it, he's trolling
Bruce
him.
Is trolling the absolute shit.
Trolling without caring. It's basically one of those. There are some news stories sometime I remember having come across a few years ago when there was a separated at birth a parent and a child who met later in life and fell in love and then didn't learn that until much later. Like obviously Dick had the whole no response like you, Robert, just had.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see
a
simple comparison.
But let's get to the topic at hand, our original discussion.
Yes, I missed this first portion just about anyway. But basically, this is
we were just filling the air until you got back.
Thank you. This is basically a follow-up to the previous video I mentioned before. What if, not just in terms of what Ivan would be if he was canonized after Son of the Demon, but a potential one-shot story if mainline Damian and the IBN XUFFASH we discussed in the previous video interacted. Just some timey-wimey one-shot issue and how that would play.
Like a 0-hour incident.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Like I said back when we went over Kingdom, the Convergence had one of those missed opportunities. That could have happened there.
Easily.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, because Kingdom Come Superman met with Superboy when Rain was happening before Superman had actually come back. Kingdom Come Batman met up with the Jim Ballet drawn Catwoman and was there and maybe what was else that the original Ostrander Suicide Squad faced off against what was it? Alan Scott's Green Lantern from Kingdom Come, while the Kingdom Come Lex was collaborating covertly with Waller.
Yeah, we'll just say this was one of the Convergence tie-ins. I feel like thank you for introducing that, Pete. I think that's the perfect spot to set this up in.
Yeah, because we didn't see anything with Ivan during Convergence.
No, we did not.
And by using the Convergence, we could probably use properly the post-crisis, the post-crisis. Well, obviously it will be post-crisis. Why am I using that as an example? Pre-New 52 Damian to meet up with Ibn.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yep, very much.
All right. Are we going with Kingdom Come Ivan or this Ivan?
Ooh. You know what? Why not both? Let's talk about two different discussions. Let's first talk about how canon Damian would have reacted with Kingdom Come Ivan.
All right, we'll start with that scenario first. Okay. Basically, were we still tying this to Convergence or a little?
Yes, Convergence. I'm thinking. Yep. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is Damian. Well, we only have one Damian to work with, and that's when it was Batman and Robin.
Yeah, this is right before Incorporated rolled around.
So
Dick was still Batman.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking that he and Dick, this is after the Batman and Robin Convergence tie-in.
Okay.
This is after that, and I'm thinking Damian is out on his own in Gotham fighting off the League, but it turns out it's the League from Kingdom Come, and Ivan is fighting off the League from the main canon. Because they both are fighting someone else that feels like it's a imposter, son of, grandson of the demon, or heir to the demon.
Yeah, that's the.
And then the two ended up meeting each other, and in the midway portion.
Yeah, like have the recognized features, or it was with the New 52 Earth 2 Huntress. It was the eyes that they recognized each other.
Yep, it was the eyes.
So they go do the same thing as in the eyes. Even could see Damian as his younger self. And Damian, without having any proper context to seeing basically an older version of himself, potential older version of himself. Well, that would be the confusion to which he just responds with, violence.
But typical Damian, especially at this point.
And so I've been pretty much observed, they fight off the ninjas, and then while they're, amidst these battles, Damian pretty much just tails Ivan and just like, why would you're supposed to be the new demon's head, right? Why won't you fight me? And I'm like, because, child, I have other things to pertain myself with in your delusions of grandeur.
That I also think he'd be like, plus, seeing you in that outfit already makes me question your sanity.
What's that?
I know, the fact you're following in his footsteps.
Especially considering that he was never a part of your life.
Don't know where you got your information from. So we're like, then you're not my past. You're one of the others.
Come now, doppelganger.
So how's that down of him realizing that's how Ivan realized, you're not my past then. You're one of the other worlds. Or other times.
Yeah, because they were going to make it so that it was other worlds, but also other timelines. The hyper time was still active.
Yeah, but how that? But JT, what do you think about that? Him figuring it out.
That's solid. Yeah, let's go with that. Sorry,
Yep.
there might be a little. I got a little bit of weather going on, so you might hear some thunder in the background.
No worries. But yeah, so I don't think. Then we bring in, because I'm thinking this is separate in the Kingdom Come one, at least with this IBN, it's during the Kingdom, so Raish is resurrected again, and we have Canon Raish. Also, turns out they were the ones who both sent them, because they're working together.
Canon Raish was around that time.
He was back. He was alive again.
In White Ghost's body. So he would be pale white albino.
Yep, and again dealing with the resurrected during the Kingdom Raish. So he has like a bit of a Frankensteinian stitching on him.
Yeah.
Okay, that
resurrected races.
Ivan resurrected him, remember? Because he was going to use him to help. Try and figure out a way to save the world. Because he thought, Brainiac, Lex, and Raish, if those three can't figure it out, no one can.
Let's set this right before the Kingdom. Because because Robert...
But I'm just trying to say that's why Raish is resurrected. Otherwise, there'll be no other reason.
Yeah, because that story is convoluted in so many ways.
I know. I'm just saying that's for the sake of why Raish is resurrected.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, Robert. But, sorry, I almost lost my train of thought. So this pretty much entire issue is just Damian and Ivan kind of just bickering, butting heads. Ivan's just trying to figure out the situation, trying to get back to his camp, to where his territory, where his family is. Because we see Bruce Wayne, Kingdom Come Bruce's funeral, but we don't know quite when his and Nightstar's kids are born. They're roughly 10 years. They're roughly preteens.
Sorry.
Kingdom Come Bruce was still also running around. He was interacting with Catwoman.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm thinking then, here's what I think for the end, those convergence things are always two-parters. If it was the end, he would end with there you are. Oh, great. Who's that? My girlfriend. And it's nice, and I fire there.
She looks awfully familiar.
I don't know the odds of her even existing in your world. But if she's not, it'll be a shame. How's that sound for him acknowledging that without, it would be a shame if she doesn't exist.
Okay, smart ass. Just be glad Grayson's not here to try to bash your face in with a skirma sticks.
Please, if he was here, he'd be tripping over himself trying to figure things out.
Seriously, that Mongol's as dense as a board.
Seriously. Even I'm not as cynical as you. I was not as cynical as you at your age. You
were not a warrior. You were just a foundling that was dragged into the fold.
Perhaps. And how's that thing up? I can still see Ivan trying to help Damian.
Yeah, because in this chaotic situation, they're not going to get any role in the main story, so you might as well just mentor him for a bit before all this cosmic stuff goes to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, basically realizing you are what I could have been, and not for the better. As far as he knows, he's not entirely correct.
He's not that far off compared to where Damian
is. That too. Especially the path Damian was on by this point. 666.
Yep.
Yeah, and the whole part had already happened. Return of Bruce Wayne had happened at this point. And actually, considering how Convergence had a lot of Batman villains killed off, then probably Horde one probably would be.
Yeah, including Uno.
That was a shame, really.
Yeah, I liked her. Although, to be fair, I doubt they stay dead. I'm sure just need someone to write her.
Yeah, because it was the one character that was created in that one before Peter Tomasi took over the series after Grant Morrison.
Yeah, Paul Cornell did it. Where basically she had like a lot of extra brain tissue, like hollow brain, like her brain wasn't a full brain; it was a thin membrane. So she got shot in the head, which she was able to still be alive because all the oxygen coming to her brain was making her smarter.
Because comics, people.
But insane.
Yeah, it's basically. It could be situational, depending on how things could have turned out. It could have been replaced with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So true, but it's mostly a lot of what you'd expect from a League of Assassins story. A lot of violence, gore, Damian being a smartass.
Mm-hmm.
How would
Hey, no, to be fair, I think something similar would happen the other way around with our canon version.
True.
Then we go to the races and the leagues. The main race would still be probably
would still be in the body of Grey Ghost, yes.
Yeah, and he would likely be leading his own version of the league, while the Kingdom Come race has been resurrected again and being the whole Frankensteinian monster. Not sure how it would lead there, but would in the end the more lucid-minded race could probably slay the other one, or on an off chance that Frankenstein the monster could somehow an accident kill the main character one.
True.
Which one is more likely?
Either they take each other out, or similar to the Injustice variant, they're killed off via collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
You can interpret this either way, but basically, a long story short, it's a mirror. IBN and Damian serve as a mirror, not just from a meta standpoint. That the purpose is IBN even went to therapy. He found balance in his life. He didn't consolidate the league. He then turned the league into a humanitarian effort, at least for the most part. Now, he didn't go out of his way to prevent the meta-human civil war from happening, but he did rebrand the league into a more humanitarian effort for the most part.
Right.
And he was all working at the hospital that the Wayne Manor had been turned into.
Mm-hmm. So more than likely, IBN is at a healthier place than Damian. Or by the time even the main line, what we're seeing now in the actual canon, IBN will be closer to what we're seeing Damian now, if we're counting PKJ's run, Williamson's, just everything for the past 2 to 3 years. I feel like that would be around the time mentally where IBN would be in his life.
True.
Now, as for the other scenario, Damian versus IBN, based on what we did previously, these two would butt heads the entire issue. Like this might as well be a buddy cop comic. You really can make a small mini arc out of this,
or a webcomic.
Possibly, because it's just 2 teenagers who are 2 versions of the same person, just having a battle of egos for 100 pages.
Very true.
I played it, but would probably play it the same way as Alters.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Robert, you want to start us off this time, or Pika?
I'll start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's back to his. So wait, you're talking about back to where we left off? Or you're talking about the crossover?
Back to where we left off.
Okay. So IBN is now back to his full age again.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, I guess we will be saying we're in the King, Batman run.
Oh! I thought you were making a pun there. Okay.
No.
Count King's run. Okay.
Hey, Pika, it started off strong.
Yeah, I know it started off strong. It started.
But the fall, you have to admit, man, the fall off was atrocious.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
It was a slow burn. I think it was the most visible point when it started happening was maybe the Poison Ivy story.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was said somewhere, Tom King either said it or someone else, that it was a response to something that happened that when Ivy was working for the Riddler during the War of Jokes and Riddles, and she killed some people there, and some people were not happy about it it was Twitter at the time, and Tom King decided to make it so that she felt remorse for having killed people, and decided to make the whole Ivy storyline happen out of
and everything with the gardener, and it just didn't make any. Just for one, Ivy is anti-human. She's anti anything remotely tied to humanoids, meat in general. Not like that. Get your heads out of the gutter. But still, she would not care if it has nothing to do with the green, with the environment, or Harley Quinn is a rare exception. She would not care, and the latter is a recent concept.
Right.
Ivy doesn't give a damn.
Very true.
She's a femme fatale through and through.
Very true.
And then for the past decade and a half now, half the time she doesn't do anything as a supervillain. Half the time she's Harley's post-Joker rebound.
Yeah.
Right.
Being technical about it. I hate for it to come across that way, but that's just the honest to God truth.
Yeah.
That's
true.
That's the only aspect of Ivy people want to write. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
True.
I can remember how I brought up in the Holiday Nights video I did almost 2 years ago by this point on how refreshing it was to see her being pretend as a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully in post, I'll remember to pin that video in the description or up top. But please continue, Robert. Please continue.
Okay, well, I'm thinking it would go from there. Then, but since we're around this point, this would also mean we'd be eventually having the Benjamin Percy Titans run.
Wait, when the Glass run be in effect by this time?
Percy was before Glass, wasn't he?
No, yeah, Percy was before Glass.
Yeah, Percy was before. Was first.
But Percy was at the start of Rebirth.
Yeah. Percy lasted from the beginning of Rebirth up until Justice League No Justice.
Yeah, so if we're doing Rebirth,
Glass took over as of issue 20.
Exactly. So I'm saying we're at the Percy run.
Okay, so this is between 19 and 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that's going on, and at the same time, again, here's the thing. I think one of the things we kind of agreed on is that things will start to balance out for IBN.
Okay.
Didn't we agree to that? That things will start to match up with what Damian would do?
Yeah, somewhat. Few growing pains notwithstanding, but yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's just.
I'm just trying to think about differences at the moment.
Until you get to the Adam Glass run, and even when you get to the Adam Glass run, the difference is he's a bit more emotionally mature. Because, like we said in the last video, he would handle the Jin situation or Jin's infatuation of him a little differently. But when it does inevitably blow up in his face, he'll at least be remorseful about it and aware that Jin has feelings for him.
But what about the Alfred death?
The death of Alfred. Oh, IBN.
I think it would hit him harder.
It would hit even harder because this would have been from the get-go. This wouldn't be a little side plot screen over the course of the 2000s. This would be roughly almost 3 decades worth of development. Because granted, this would have because we in our previous video, I'll leave it up top too. We had IBN debut around the same time as The Fugitive in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Damian, the concept of IBN was canonized as Damian in 2006, and as we mentioned, Son of the Demon was published in 1987. So that's roughly 7 years after his conceptual debut in an Elseworld story. And roughly the same age as Tim, Flashpoint and Cosmic De-Aging notwithstanding, it would hit harder. The only difference is, how can you still have the plan go bad and Bane be forced to kill Alfred?
Here's what I'm thinking. We play up with what Tom King Ritchie was going to do, and that's what they were expecting.
Yes, it would be a fake out and play face.
No. That's what Damian and Bruce expected. They didn't expect Bruce, Alfred, and Bane to actually do it.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
Okay.
Like they knew because they're like Psycho Pirate's there. He's going to mess with you, Damian. But so that's what they were expecting. They were not expecting Bane to actually do it.
Yeah, and that way Bruce could have also been more focused on the fact that the Damian was going in there instead of...
Or IBN. We keep saying Damian.
Sorry, on IBN would be going there and not be basically on a vacation somewhere with Selena.
I get he wanted to follow his heart and chase after Selena and get closure. And you can get some drama out of that. but especially in this genre, there is a time and place for that type of story.
But does that sound like a good explanation, though? Does that sound like a good explanation that they were banking?
Yes. They were thinking that it was going to be a fake out or a switcheroo. But I would think, especially in this scenario, this would play out a lot differently. Ivan would actually go against Bruce's wishes, rally his Rogue Titans team, help with some of the crowd control, fight off the other villains, and then just use a secret passage into the Batcave. Now, even restored to his proper age of 16 to 17, can he take on a detox Bane in a 1v1? Probably not. But he can buy time for Alfred.
Also, you could have something I point out. It doesn't matter if you win the fight. It's also how long can the fight last and what you can also do during the fight, like environmental sabotage or set up something on the background in
pick a fight, pick advantage.
Pick a fight, pick an advantage, and also do something that even if you lose, you have managed to do certain strategic damage that eventually helps you win on the long run.
But so I'm thinking that, like I said, if we keep that bit, though, of the death of Alfred, Ivan did get captured by Bane. And throughout it all, Ivan is actually being a bit smug. Because he's... What? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I'm hearing an echo.
Oh, do you have a...
Okay, I'm good now. Sorry.
Okay.
As I was saying. So he's expecting like this is going to be some illusion and everything, even when Bane snaps his neck. But then Bane will be like, "Why don't you cry? Oh, you expecting this to be an illusion of the Psycho Pirate or Scarecrow? I'm sorry, my boy, my dear boy, but your butler is truly dead."
And when he says it, he drags Alfred's remains and then basically might as well drop them to his feet or to his lap, because Damian was tied to a chair, so why not have Ibn also be tied to a chair?
Yeah, exactly. So he just basically holds it right in front of him and even says it like, "You know a real dead body when you see one. Not even the Psycho Pirate can perfectly mimic it."
Emergency Protocol Alpha Red. Operation Nightfall. What did you just say? Let's just say it's an old contingency plan that'll not, and once it goes off, it'll level the entire estate.
Like
my
you
father,
wouldn't.
The Dark Knight believes in sentiment. I do not.
It's like you'd blow yourself up with it.
Maybe so, but you'd be dead.
Yeah, maybe. But I think you would pause and chuckle, be like, wouldn't your father have I need 2 code names for it to work?
What do you think Alpha Red means, dumbass?
Oh, okay. I'll be back, guys.
All right. Okay. While we're on that, basically to follow that thought with Robert, basically,
we did deliver that the last line with some of more of a more tortured tone, like acknowledging that that it happened and went. They realizing that Alfred died and then did that protocol. It's like torture if he's still broken about what having the realization and then forcing himself to go through it.
Because Bane no longer has the leverage. And while he's gloating, he won't notice Ivan set off the protocol.
Yeah.
But this does buy Ivan enough time to preserve Alfred's body. And then as he digs out of the debris, that he rendezvous with the Bat family, cradling Alfred's remains.
Yeah.
But
then there's the whole aspect afterwards when Batman eventually comes there, and then also there's the part with at the end of the King's Run with what else happened.
Basically, you have the Batman versus Thomas Wayne fight.
And before that, there was the whole thing that Thomas Wayne Batman was able to defeat the entire Bat family, including Cassandra.
Okay, that was total BS. I know you. That was BS.
Yeah, that's weird. can we get some excuse for why Cassandra maybe wasn't there, or was there something to take her out first, so that or some other way, so that Thomas wouldn't need to fight her?
Tag in Gotham Girl. You already had your biggest deterrent right there. Just have Gotham Girl swoop. Have Thomas get a couple licks in, but ultimately Gotham Girl swoops in and stomps everyone. And then Ivan, with a little bit of magic he had learned from Jin, completely incapacitates and completely knocks disorients and knocks Gotham Girl out. It's basically a compulsion spell to knock her unconscious, but it's enough to stop the fight. And Tim, especially with the pressure from Grayson's amnesia and Rick Grayson, completely lashes out at Ivan.
Yeah,
I had to, as part of the story, I had to bring it up. I have to. If I didn't have to, if it were up to me, I would omit the Rick Grayson saga altogether, because that was just some BS. But
there was also, I realized there was I think I missed it at the end of the previous video. Did you and Robert go over how metal was also part of it?
Yeah, we kept metal, because nothing about whether it be Ivan or Damian, because Ivan would still technically be a teenager. So
yeah, and there was also the fact, and not to mention there was all the Batman Who Laughs. Damian was also there.
Yeah, so that would play out the same way. We established, because trying to change that out would have led to a whole separate can of worms.
Okay. So as we go through King's Run to the point where Gotham Girl takes out Cassandra, that happens, and Thomas beats up everyone else. There's the whole Rick situation, and
the manor is destroyed because Ivan did set off the Nightfall protocol.
Yeah.
So the manor is destroyed. But Jin is actually able to save them by putting a barrier in time, and Ivan is able to preserve and cradle Alfred's dead body. Bane is knocked out. Bane is knocked out and taken into custody because he pretty much had the entire manor and subsequent Batcave buried on top of him. I mean, if it weren't for all the times he enhanced himself with the Venom formula, he definitely would have died.
And when Batman eventually comes to go back to Gotham to find everything that has happened,
a part of Bruce would want to lash out on Ivan, but Ivan would just say, "Father, you took a chance on love and it bit you in the ass. Bane played us and Alfred paid the price. Lashing out at me isn't going to make you feel better. I quit."
Yeah, like he quit at and he's gonna be separate from whatever Bruce is gonna be doing until the Shadow War.
Yeah, Bruce tries to lash out and even contemplates throwing a batarang, because you got to really amp up the drama here. So in the heat of the moment, Batman does contemplate throwing a batarang at Ivan's head, towards Ivan, but Tim ultimately stops Bruce from lashing out and doing something he's destined to regret.
Basically, I don't want to compare it to the whole world, but Bruce backhanded Tim during the run.
I'm not a fan of it either, because a lot of it just boils down to drama. And then later on they try to ride around with Gotham War.
Actually, it happened before already, so it wouldn't.
The whole Zur-En-Arrh thing was just a bad idea. It's just the whole thing was bad. Chip Zdarsky was just trying to rip off more popular writers. Let's just say that, because the Zur-En-Arrh arc. No, just. I get the situation. DC was trying to copy Marvel's All New, All Different, and then
yeah, and even if it wasn't a copy, that it maybe could have had some. If it wasn't made into such a huge deal and basically being the same thing happened all over again, because it was like basically City of Bane again, because Gotham was isolated and got taken over, and even before that there was the whole magistrate that could have led to future state, but then didn't.
I mean, especially if you have this major decision, you have to still allude to the idea for consistency purposes. I mean, that's all fine, but it just didn't flow well. because backing out of 5G was so apparent. You only gave Future State 2 months of publication dedicated to it, so nothing got a proper resolution. Yeah. Except maybe Tim Fox's with Future State Batman, and that's because, well, the art pretty much wrote itself. Bruce is presumed dead. Jace takes up the cowl in this cyberpunk city scenario, and then they ultimately defeat the bad guy and take the city back. It writes itself. You don't have to try that hard.
Yeah, even Titans conclusion essentially.
But back to where we were. Yeah, Bruce is still emotionally reeling. And although Tim does throw some shade at Ivan for being a twat, he does remember when Ivan called him out on his bullshit, because again, Ivan's been around since the 90s.
So, and it can also probably be one of those moments where you respond emotionally, and when the moment has passed, you realized it wasn't what you should have done. You regret about it, but don't get a chance to say you're sorry until much later, if ever.
Yeah, because even Selena was disheartened like this. Like, the kid can be the kid's a little shit, but you contemplated it. You thought about it. If Tim hadn't reached for your gauntlet, you would have took the shot. Ivan is an experienced combatant and martial artist. He would have deflected the batarang long before it went off. It doesn't matter. You are his father, and you tried to hit him in retaliation for being a smartass.
Yeah, that is the textbook definition of child abuse.
And I could easily see Tom King trying to milk the drama here, and then Bruce is just like, Bruce is just distraught in this. I mean, even if Bane regained consciousness during transport, Bruce is he's gonna go ham on Thomas. Like, Thomas might as well. You disobeyed me. I specifically told you to drop the cowl and remove. I only saw the darkness. I only saw vengeance after what happened to you, and vicariously your mother in my reality. I knew I allied with these villains to prove a point, but I didn't think this would go this bad. I didn't think Bane would go this far. Because at that point, Alfred being dead is bad enough, but an unhinged, emotionally distraught Bruce. Yeah, you might as well just remove the cowl and surrender. Don't even put up a fight. Because he's just gonna go full Arkham on your ass. He's gonna go full Arkhamverse on your ass. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it might as well Bruce would have done to Thomas what Bane ended up doing, like, because Bane broke his back, and then Thomas got thrown into. Where was it? What was that happened again?
I want to say he got thrown in Arkham before he was killed by Bane.
Yeah, he was thrown into Arkham, where Bane broke his back, and then he was basically with a broken back for off panel for multiple issues until he resurfaced in the
Justice League Incarnate.
That's where I heard it was.
It wasn't Death. Was it Death Metal? Was it Death Metal? No, that was for
Dark. I wish it had been Death Metal, but it could have been some proper ways for him to atone to the people he had hurt.
Yeah, that would have been the perfect time to bring. If you were gonna bring Thomas back, that would have been.
Or during the Batman Who Laughs mini, because I'm still bitter about the whole thing because it was set during that era when Batman pretty much had no allies in his family anymore, and this is something I have said this before. I say it now. I will say this again in the future. But the whole thing that the Batman Who Laughs never went to do anything psychologically horrifying. Like, for example, like there was that one variant. There was that one variant cover which showed Catwoman in a house trying to block a door and had Batman Who Laughs outside of the door going to her. After the wedding got botched, there would have been so much story potential. Like, imagine if, like, for example, imagine this. In his world, his transformation happened before the wedding. Before she left at the altar, but obviously after she had said yes, she will marry him.
During the engagement.
The engagement here. He turned into the Batman Who Laughs during the engagement. There would have been so much story potential in having the Batman Who Laughs go after Catwoman.
It writes itself but I get it. You wanted to wrap up. You wanted to set up death metal and then full steam ahead to this reboot, this gimmick to boost numbers. Fine. Okay, you know what? Benny, God rest his soul, rest in peace. But Benny was right about this. 5G would have tanked the line, and I think you and I had a previous collab about it, trying to explain and break it down. But essentially, 5G was DC's all new, all different. It was going to have John Kent as Superman. The current Vanguard was completely aged out, and the whole thing would have culminated in a metahuman civil war. Let it be known the reason why I'm describing it that way. It's a metahuman civil war, including but not limited to Damian Damian being considered a villain or anti-hero, rebuilding the League of Assassins / the Al Ghouls. Best case scenario, 5G would have amounted to an in-continuity Kingdom Come ripoff. This thing, if it had gone ahead, would have tanked almost as bad as Civil War II 2017, if not worse. I feel sorry for the poor bastards who exist in that alternate universe. I do, because that is a literal waste of sandpaper. Kingdom Come is a masterpiece, and anything even remotely replicating it, let alone Al Gross's artwork, is a freaking insult.
Yeah, the only way that could be adapted it would be in live action, and even then it would require so much CGI
and the aesthetic. I mean, because it's a painting come to life. The art is what really sells it, if we're being honest.
The bare minimum that they could at the very least do with some future products is recreate the costumes. Like, how hard is it to recreate a Superman costume that looks like Alex Stross drew it?
Outside of texture, not that hard. The texture is going to be the biggest pain in the ass.
Well, yeah, the materials, I understand that.
Yeah. But, if you're going to do a Kingdom Come adaptation, animation's your best bet. And even then...
Could the Marvel What If animation be... Nah.
No.
Unless they have a very style-involved budget.
I mean, the team that did Marvel What If could pull it off if they had a big enough budget.
Yeah. I hear that they have been hired to do the Absolute Batman series.
Now, that's interesting. That will be interesting. Not going to lie. But back to this. Then we go back to Adam Glass's Teen Titans run. Ivan is emotionally distraught, but he doesn't. As for the captured villain subplot, that was to prove a point about being more proactive against villains before they commit crimes, knowing their MO. Now, once Ivan or Damian falls into the Jinn conspiracy, and then Elias, and then although he doesn't know who the other is quite yet during this point in time, he would just handle the whole situation differently. Like, hey, this is the bigger priority. Whatever's going on with Luthor in the Legion, I can't risk Elias and his partner running amok. So we'll just say this is before Terminus agenda. I'll go ahead and set up transport with like not Bell Reed, because that'll lead to another roster of the Suicide Squad. Let's just say Ivan coordinates with the Warden of Iron Heights. I forget his name at the time of this recording. And then they secure transport. And then you could have Billy's off-panel discovery of the secret prison, like days leading up to the day the day they're going to arrive at Mercy Hall for the transport. And then Slade exploits Billy's victim mentality to break the villains out in an attempt to kill Robin. Which I would argue that would make a better story. Or at least it would resolve the captured villain subplot in a more tighter way, and actually warrant why he asked Jen to mind wipe them as a means of damage control.
I'm surprised no one ever brought about the fact that the mind wiping, if there's no backup of the original personalities, is essentially another form of murder. You know that the whole aspect,
because you're removing their sense of self and replacing it with something else.
Yeah, it's also something that I told Robert also. In Nier Automata, that's literally the whole thing that they did. If you kill the person that they were and replace it with someone else, that person they used to be is gone. And even if you do a mind wipe or remove memories. The version that they were, that version is gone and is replaced with an earlier version of them.
Okay, let's maneuver around a bit. I didn't want to do this because it was so because I tried to be consistent as possible. But if I had to outstretch this, I would say noticing Ivan's distress and their little spirit soul bond from when she connected with him in the annual. The less I mention that, the better, because of the context. I say Jen goes out of her way to convince Rick to consensually agree to get his mind restored from the amnesia, completely omitting the Rick Grayson arc, because there is no reason that arc should have lasted for 2.5 years.
Yeah,
there is no, that arc was completely dragged out.
Yeah, it started with the whole, and then it led to until Jurgens was brought into it, and
then it led to Dickie Boy and Joker War. I get it. You wanted to save Grayson getting his mind back for memory back for an event, but this was not the way to go about it. But yeah, Jen reaches out to Rick Grayson, gives him the rundown, like, hey, and Rick. And although Rick is basically Grayson's subconscious desire to one day leave the hero life behind, and his amnesia was a perfect out for him to act on it, subconsciously, of course. I feel like after a couple of pages of contemplation and the fallout from Alfred's death, Rick would agree to do this.
Yeah, it would be someone could maybe Jen could be the one who say it, or someone who is in the situation with them who says that with how everything is going on, do the reminder that bad things that are happening right now keep happen because good men like him choose to do nothing.
And that's what ultimately inspires Rick to, like we said, consent to get his memory restored. So with the help of Raven, because you got to rope the Titans into this, with the help of Raven, Jen does the deed. Grayson becomes Dick again, and by extension, Nightwing. And when he finally goes to Mercy Hall to help console Ivan in the fallout, Ivan had already anticipated this. Ivan's already gone because, well, Jen told him in advance. And even if we use Azarath or Raven logic in this, because of their soul bond, Ivan would have already anticipated that Jen was going to do this. Because next to Alfred, Grayson was one of the first few people to teach Ivan with genuine kindness and could talk him out of this dark path. Because now with Alfred gone, and he's just going to drop the pretense because he doesn't know who the other is, but he can definitely take Elias off the board. So if he goes on the aggression, if he goes on the offensive and lures Elias out, and even then, and let's be honest, even in the run itself, Elias had 9 of the 10 rings he needed to become a reality warper. He could have taken Damian off the board anytime he wanted. The only reason he didn't was 2 major factors. One, it would have attracted too much attention, especially the League of Assassins, because the Al Ghul's also dabble in dark magic. 2, obviously Batman. And 3, Jen's feelings for Damian and the distraught and grief from Damian's death would have pushed Jen off the deep end. Because one of the biggest components, this is his own sister, someone he genuinely betrayed in order to acquire power, and who's constantly been repressing herself to keep a low profile. And then if you push someone like that to their breaking point, it's not going to be pretty. But I could go into all semantics, but basically Ivan's just like, hey, Grayson's getting his memory back. He could try to salvage the team and guide him in a better direction. I'm going to make sure I finish this and take down the other and Elias myself.
Yeah, before he comes to come and stops me from doing it my way.
And then, Wallace, Kid Flash, Crush. Crush are relatively indifferent. Crush throws a little bit of snark, good riddance. But then Grayson just cuts the crap. Where's Robin? Where's Robin? Jen doesn't want to say anything, but Emiko immediately clocks it. He's going after Elias, isn't he? And you let him leave? And granted, I'm not a shipper by any means, but especially if you're taking elements from the Percy run into this, there might not be anything happening between Damian and Emiko, but Emiko cares. she's at least concerned for Damian's emotional state. The events leading up to the annual was proof of that. The only difference is Amiko was more composed about it than Crush was. Crush was jealous and just beat up a punching bag to vent her frustration. Amiko pretty much established a bird coop and just tended to the doves. So I'm not saying anything. There's not a romantic subtext here. I'm just saying Amiko would be concerned and want to immediately go after Ivan before he does something before he puts himself in danger. And that could ultimately help speed things up to his Jin War, and then you're the villain. And we just go from there. Because I'm not saying what we got is bad. I would never badmouth official media because everything is subjective. But the Glass Run not only was a shelf title, and I will start my shelf title series again explaining.
It's just a shelf title that I haven't bothered to read it. I'm also going by how you are recapping it.
Yeah, a shelf title is basically one that editorial considers an afterthought and is just being printed out for consistency purposes. So yeah, Percy. I mean, Teen Titans Rebirth was going strong with Percy, but by the time after Justice League No Justice, they decided to deviate from Doomsday Clock, cram death metal to boost the numbers, and then try to restructure from there. And as a result, Glass's Run just became a shelf title. Yeah, Damian was still a selling point. You still had Damian Wayne on a Teen Titans team. That was the selling point. But at the end, it just slowly lost relevance to the point that it became a shelf title.
Ultimately, then whatever happened at the end, you can recap it quickly. Whatever that happened, it then led to the team breaking up and eventually Damian was somewhat present in Shadow War.
Yeah, and then Ivan goes off for a solo series while we have Titans Academy. And the only reason I'm not mentioning Titans Academy is because, well, for the purpose of this video, Ivan doesn't really play a role in Titans Academy unless we go out of our way to give Titans Academy a tie-in issue for Shadow War to wrap up that subplot after Ivan pretty much cuts a deal with Deathstroke and goes rogue. And even then, you won't even need a full tie-in for that. You could just write an office note. Hey, Brother Blood had a separate revenge scheme from the other villains, and it blew up in his face. Robin just happened to have a bloody boot print and left the scene. He just happened to stumble upon Blood's body after the fact. You could just say Slade unalived him as a favor to Damian.
And as something about Respawn and then whatever that eventually led to Dark Crisis.
Because and you actually could build more to that. Well, we don't know how Damian got in the main material. We don't know how Damian got possessed by Neza. It was kind of off panel. So we don't know how. We just know that he stumbled upon Neza's tomb. Ended up opening it because he wanted to pacify Lazarus Island so he could make it a safe haven and pacify it of all mystical influence. So he stumbled upon Neza's tomb. And got possessed for his trouble. And then he proceeded to incapacitate and then utilize his acquired magic to possess the other Robins to run the Fade with Bruce. I mean, yeah, it's Batman versus Robin essentially, but I don't think it would have even come to that because Ivan's a lot older. He has a more proficient skill set. And even more so, Ivan knows better than to tamper with mystical artifacts. If there's a way to actually purge Lazarus Island or move Neza's tomb elsewhere, like another dimension, Ivan could still especially if he ended things decently with Jin, he could reach out to her for a favor or get Constantine or Satana. Yes, they'll eventually tell Bruce where he is. And that's probably why he doesn't do it in the main material. That's why he didn't reach out to any magic users, because they would immediately say, hey, your kid who ran away from home and has been dodging you for a year is on this foreign island half across the planet. Maybe you need to get your cowl out of your ass and console your son.
Around the time when that was happening, I'm trying to sort of balance out what was that. Which run was happening at the time?
Wait, during that was Williamson with Shadow War and Lazarus Planet.
Lazarus Planet was even when it was coming out, it was such a mess of different tie-ins that I was unable to follow which issue was taking the story forward.
Yeah, Lazarus Island was. Lazarus Planet was basically an extended Batman versus Robin, because you could have kept everything within the same miniseries, but they decided to make an event out of it. We did mention Robert and I. We did mention Robert had an idea of debuting Flatline earlier because of her goth aesthetic, and she probably would have been marketed well in the 2000s. I want to go ahead and bring that now in case somebody references it in the comment section when this goes up.
2000s or sometime.
Early to mid 2000s. I mean,
or somewhere in the early 2010s. Considering how many similar-ish character types were also introduced around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can see
characters and
I can see Robert's logic in that. And hopefully, if this ends up, hopefully he'll come back. If he decides to come back, he can explain. He can go into more detail. But yeah, Lazarus, other than maybe having Flatline already established, the Lazarus tournament. God, I'm all over the place. Sorry, I just got home from work, and with the time zone difference, it's got to be like 2:00 in the morning for you. I know.
When was it's about 2:00 in the morning. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you had a Flatline of debut earlier and then being brought in when was the last time they saw each other before now?
Okay, if we're counting Flatline debuting earlier, the last time they could have seen each other was before was roughly around Jeff Johns' 2003 Teen Titans run.
Okay, so then the Lazarus Island it
would be their reunion since Damian got de-aged.
Yeah.
Since post Flashpoint, it would be a reintroduction of the character, basically. But yeah, as we all know, Flatline debuted specifically in that arc, and it was also the reintroduction of Connor Hawke, which IBN XUFFASH versus Connor Hawke is a closer fight than you might think. I mean, yeah.
I read most of the stuff with the character and how they were, how he was reintroduced. So. Yeah, most likely.
I mean, I would say IBN would put up, because he's a few years older, he would put up a better fight than Damian did, but not by much. But
moving forward.
Yeah, because that's the hard part, because then we got to go into back. Do we continue the solo series, or do we revert back to Batman and Robin?
The solo series lasted about actually I didn't read it. I think I fell off during that much because it was trying to it was going way too slow and was only focused on that one arc.
Yeah, there was definitely a fall off during Lazarus Planet, but Williamson's Robin 2021 ended around 20 issues.
Okay, so with the Batman Robin, when they were this was the around the time. Was Chip Zdarsky's run starting out at this point?
Yes, I want to say Chip Zdarsky's run started around this time.
Okay, so it was also when they had to move into the brownstone because the Bruce had lost all of his money because
Joker War still happened, but he would have, instead of losing the estate as collateral and being behind on his payments because he was in a coma for a month, because he was in a coma for a few weeks.
Yeah, thanks to the whole Lazarus Planet.
Yeah, the manor was destroyed during City of Bane.
Yeah,
and Bruce was just staying at the brownstone while the manor was being rebuilt.
Yeah, and even then he would still have the land estimates of where the manor was built and where it existed on. But yeah, they live at the brownstone.
Yeah, and if you want to do a little something more with Gotham War, maybe have Bruce and Selina try to reconcile more. Maybe not romantically, but work together on a case. Work together.
And so again, this is a me problem.
Go ahead, please.
Because after the wedding got botched and everything they have done, tried to do with Batman and Catwoman since, is something that, like I said, a me problem. But I see that I don't see that relationship getting any better from there. The moment where Bruce asked Selina to marry her, he asked her to marry him, and they were also got the marriage. That was maybe the highest part of whatever honesty they had there, and maybe you would say that was the peak of where the relationship could have gone, and it has been all downhill from there. Even if it went to a point where other writers and other versions have tried to do it, like I mentioned in my Long Halloween video, it came across to me because it was set in the early parts of their careers, when Selina was clearly not, or was and wasn't. I'm not sure it was maybe having a cake and eating it too. Was she a cat burglar? Was she a criminal that Batman would have tried to catch and arrest, but kept giving her she had excuses on helping him here and there, but they didn't know who they were, and they could have just blurted out of because
out of
whatever chemistry they had. But if they knew who the other people were, then at that point, the mental state of that Batman had at the time in wanting to honor his parents and the oath he made to them when they died, he would have been breaking it by being in a relationship with a criminal. So it basically, the whole thing that they made in the animated movie, I see that as an example of damage control done after what King did. Bring them back to do whatever, or have the relation them have some chemistry here and there, have good moments and other. It doesn't feel genuine from my perspective.
Okay,
it's just damage control.
Yeah, but the only way you could truly, say what you will about the will they won't they tension, because that's always going to be appealing in stories like this.
And now it's being fizzled
tainted.
Out. Yeah, it's tainted.
I would say full-blown tainted, but that's a topic for a different day. But the only way to really make something like this work is either Bruce grows emotionally to the point where he can understand moments, shades of gray in his duality, in his truth and compass of being Batman and honoring that original vow to his parents. Or Selina gives up crime to be retires from supervillainy or crime, which she practically has already, because she at more of the time she's considered an anti-villain more than she is a villain or an anti-hero. She actively helps the Bat family out more often than she does, and that's what makes Gotham War as a villain, and that's what makes Gotham War so bloody jarring. Because at the end of the day, this is a lover spat that's being dragged out into an event that nobody asked for, and you are literally. Even Jason, even Red Hood's pseudo crime war with Black Mask as a bait tactic to lure out the Joker, that was better. That his gang strategy was better planned out than this. At least he wasn't actually at least he wasn't actively training henchmen to be more effective when supervillains come back into play. The only thing he asked for was paying for protection and not handling their business with children involved. That's it. Oh. That is the only thing Jason asked for as Red Hood.
And at least, and even then, that was a take-two rewrite in the animated movie compared to what it was in the comic. There he was just doing it for the sake of doing it. Yeah, because in the comic, remember, he had Joker already captured and held captive until he decided to invite Batman to come see it.
That is true. That was an addition from the animated movie, but even with those changes, you have to admit the animated movie is a solid film. It may not be a perfect adaptation, but it's a decent thing.
I like to say this, the way that the comic has some strengths, but it also has some. It has muscle and it has fat. Okay. The movie was able to trim some of that fat, but while doing it, it also cuts out some of the muscle. And the perfect version of the story is somewhere in the middle.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Because it did try to sprinkle a brief segment of death in the family. And just about every writer in the world tries to downplay, oh, Jason was rambunctious, Jason was impulsive. Does not mean he deserves to be unalived for it.
Yeah. And not to mention, the whole thing, why the whole thing that he ended up getting into the situation where he ended up killed can be traced down to one person named Sheila Haywood, aka his mother. If you cut out her from the story, you need to make Jason different and everything so that his actions lead there instead of him being lured over there by his mother's actions.
And even in the for the 10th anniversary Under Red Hood, they did a Choose Your Own Adventure adaptation of Death in the Family. Sheila's not present in that version either.
No, I've made videos on both of them, the retellings, and I couldn't even call it an adaptation. It was just a cash grab. There was bare minimum of recreating things, and even I compared it to what they could have done. You know what they could have done? Robert's back.
What I missed?
Brief.
I think we're talking. Yeah, we made it up to I think we're at Williamson, Batman, and Robin.
Wait, you mean the so you're right up the Shadow War?
Yes.
Yeah, Shadow War and
Lazarus Planet.
Yeah, Lazarus Planet and the tournament. How'd the tournament go with IBN?
Like we said, similar to what we said in the last video, other than Flatline, because you wanted Flatline to be introduced earlier, and this would be a reunion and reintroduction of the character.
Yeah, because I love that pairing. I'm sorry, she's my favorite person to pair up with him.
And when did we reintroduce her again?
I think we introduced her around the time he would have appeared in canon.
Oh, so around 2006. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that would have been right around. That would have been right after Hush. Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already. I think we had him in Bloodhaven with Grayson as Flamebird during this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this was right after Infinite Crisis, and then he officially becomes Robin from there.
Yeah, so I think that's where we went with. That was when we went into so that would be a reunion. Did we ever do much with him and Rose as friends?
Other than Jeff Johns' 2003, they barely interact after that. And that was just a mini arc.
You mean technically JT Crawl's run?
Oh, that is true. That is true.
And I love that they were like big sister, little brother.
It would be similar enough. Ivan would just not be as bratty.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about what's his name? Respawn.
Respawn.
That's the thing, because if we're making Damian older, we have to make Respawn older.
That is true. Although to be fair, I don't think the age really matters too much. He's gonna die anyway.
That, and he's a direct. Okay, let me just say that. I'm misspeaking. Respawn is not a direct clone of Damian. He is a genetic amalgam between himself, Talia, and Deathstroke. Because Damian was one of Damian's clones.
But I'll be honest, that felt like
about. By the way, if it's also later, are they still acknowledge the priest's run with
this? Yeah, Respawn's creation was a follow-up to that.
Yeah, because
it was he was Bruce's son.
Specifically say during that as soon as he learned about Rose's existence, he got himself a vasectomy.
Again, Robert kicked out for a moment, but and that is true. But there you are. But in Deathstroke versus Batman, they had it to where Tim was going through some cross-reference case files and the reason Tim had access to this is because Talia was interim CEO of LexCorp while Luthor was president, and those files didn't get wiped. But basically, it was part of a side project. And she used Luthor Corp funds to effectively legitimize the money used to clone and splice Respawn. But
by the way, I gotta say, Williamson playing off of what Priest had done, I loved.
Yeah, and I could go into the timey-wimey explanation of it all, but yeah, it still it still acknowledges, okay, we're still keeping Damian as Bruce Wayne's biological son for marketing, but at least we're creating a new character based on that concept of that story.
Because he was only a means to an end. And here's the other thing I think about Respawn. He doesn't have to be older. He could still be stuck in the tube so he comes out as a kid.
I mean, that's true, but if we're having Ivan just recently get his growth spurt and his original age back, wouldn't it make
Respawn could probably get the whole Benjamin Button situation. He could be Benjamin Button into rapidly aging until he is eventually killed off before reaching a certain age.
Well, that's true too, but we already know he's going to die to push Slade over the edge.
Yeah, we know he's going to end up.
Do we have him die by?
He died. He died as a side effect of Geoforce posing as him, just to try, to start Shadow War, and that was eventually being a Slade during Dark Crisis.
Basically, he has a very limited healing factor, and he's in an effort to protect Slade. He leaps right in the line of fire and succumbs to his wounds. That's the cleanest way I can say it without potentially getting at least two of us demonetized.
Right. By the way, how would Ivan react to hippie race?
That what?
How would Ivan react to hippie race?
Ivan would be a little weirded out because I would say Ivan would be a little weirded out.
They never explained how he went from a hippie race back to regular race. They never explained that, did they?
It briefly referenced Batman and the Outsiders, the financial collapse of the league, and then race just laid low just outside of Colton Maltese for a few months.
No, I mean how he went back to being normal race.
Oh, they did not explain that.
Yeah, maybe.
All of a sudden,
environmental storytelling could have probably said that eventually, after he had been laying low in a while, he got bored, or decided that back to action, or saw something happening in the world, and just decided that okay, I cannot ignore that. Long hair, cut, and back.
I think he just cleaned himself up for the press conference. That's really all it boiled down to.
True, but yeah. So Shadow War, would it play out the same?
I mean, somewhat, because yes, it's synergy for the Young Justice cartoon. Brion being the subversion to Terra instead of Terra going bad. But Brion's beef with Deathstroke, especially, the motivation is there.
It ties back to pre-New 52, which I loved. It tied back to a long dangling plot thread. It ties back to DiDio's Outsiders.
Yeah, the whole thing where, he went.
In Ivan would know
Geoforce basically did Joseph's to himself.
Yeah, he basically injected him with the drugs and it drove him insane.
Yeah, and then when he was in the middle of a fight, there was the whole thing that where he cut his own throat to basically make Deathstroke relive the moment when Joseph became mute to stop and try to stop him from.
Yep, and they stabbed each other, but. The league thought, oh, you survived because you went there. It's like they don't know the truth.
That, and it was supposed to serve as a follow-up to Event Leviathan because Talia was unalive. She was brought back by Surin Darga or the Dendarga clan. And then in the power vacuum, I want to say Manhunter took over. I don't think they were revealed.
Yep. It was Manhunter. It was Manhunter.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was Jared Tunnel, so we can just, it was a Bendis. Yeah, Bendis.
Yeah, Bendis. But basically it was revenge for the destruction of Markovia because Manhunter wiped Markovia off the map.
But because it connected back to Talia, he wanted to at the same time get back at Slade too. He decided 2 birds, 1 stone.
Off race, a power vacuum in the mercenary / supervillain community, and nearly started World War III on a metahuman scale.
Yeah, and the other thing I remember is that Talia had taken over that, had removed the event Leviathan, and brought back proper Leviathan. We got to remember that too.
That's not confusing at all.
Again, Bendis. This is also the same Bendis who decided, oh, Lois's dad has a son. Even though that makes no sense, because why, if he had a son that was born before Lois and Lana, why the hell would he decide to raise his daughters like the sons he never had?
Wait. Well, I thought that was in Rucka's run.
No, that was Bendis who did it.
Oh, okay, thank you for confirming that.
Was it that in Action Comics or was it in the Superman?
No, it was in the Leviathan books.
I must have mentally ignored that.
It was a reference.
But that was still all Bendis is doing. If Rucka did anything, he was following orders.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I'm sorry. That still makes no sense.
Unless he had lost the son and tried to compensate with the daughters, maybe.
But he knew that son was out there.
I mean, the only way you could make a concept of Lois having a secret brother work is if General Lang had an affair and just didn't know about the child.
Oh no. But here's the deal. Yes, it was an affair, but he knew.
Wait, they established. Oh wait, that's right. They did establish he knew. Then why the hell did he raise Lois to be?
Yeah, because he was working for him. Exactly my point. Bendis ignored it.
Järjen veit, yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna start.
But anyway, as we were back on topic. So yeah, we have that, but now Dark Crisis.
And Dark Crisis.
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. Dark Crisis, Young Justice sucked and had no business being written. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah, let's just.
Yeah, well, Damian wasn't even involved in that story anyway, so.
Yeah,
I mean,
Damian
out of principle. Like, I can understand Megan Fitzmartin feeling a little petty about and trying to stir some controversy and momentum after the change she did with Tim. So, social media, internet engagement, I get all that, but that doesn't. But you can have all the in the world if your story is good. This is crap.
Especially when you have it be. Especially when you try to have it be. Oh, Arrow had quit because she was tired of the boys taking all the credit. No, ya dits. She quit because she was tired of her stage of mother of a mom constantly pushing her, and she killed a man.
Wait, I thought she backed out from killing said individual.
I think you're right. She almost killed a man, but she was so close to doing it.
She was tempted to, but I don't think she went through with it. But I haven't read Peter Davis' Young Justice run in at least a year.
Still though, it had nothing to do with the boys.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry. Her thing makes.
Yeah,
I will say that
retcons being done maybe for the sake of the story that you're trying to tell about, to try to make a statement out of it.
There's no point in it. First of all, and I appreciate giving the core four something to do. I'm a late '90s kid or 2000s kid. Tim Drake was my favorite Robin was essentially my favorite Robin. I was hurt when Damian officially took over. I get all the nostalgia in the world, but this story was just bad. It's a glorified side plot just to give them something to do because one of the higher ups say, "Hey, this is supposed to be a universe-long event." The core four, throwing some, and we already did some nostalgia bait with Bendis' Young Justice Wonder Comics run. Give the core four something to do as a follow-up, and this was the best you could come up with.
By the way, I did right. How would Ivan react to the Tim coming out as bi thing? I think he'd be like, "What took you so long?"
He would not care. I would argue he'd troll the hell out of him because you had Drake.
Or he could have. I considering how I listened to your in the previous video, why his response might have been either it could have been either you. It could have been either what took you so long or what else is new.
Yeah, because Ivan would be he'd be relatively indifferent. Two, the fact that Tim has had a man crush on Connell for years, even going to the point that he had a nervous breakdown, had a trauma bond fling with Cassie Sandsmark. Oh, and this is the worst part. Literally tried to resplice him using his DNA to the point of having an emotional breakdown.
And was willing to become a villain.
Oh, we're throwing Dark Titans into this?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, yeah, because I'm sorry, that shows how far you're willing to go.
Oh yeah, he was. Oh, now I know what you're talking about. He was trying to prevent. Yeah, okay, I remember. I remember now.
And now I forget. The guy asked, did you guys at all talk about how would Ivan react to John showing up older?
like I said, they would have a completely different dynamic because, I mean,
they would be close to the same age at that point.
Well, now they are.
Even with the age up, their dynamic would relatively balance out. The only difference is it wouldn't be as buddy or Gone and Killa from Hunter x Hunter. It wouldn't be the same plucky young friends going on. It wouldn't have the same adventure vibe, basically. I don't want
no, but I do think they will become closer, and I think IBN would actually be willing to help John with his trauma.
Because he has gone through the same thing.
Yeah, from Earth 3.
In reverse order.
And while we're on that, I want your opinion on this. How do you feel about the Ultra Boy reveal in Reign of the Super Boys?
Loved it. Loved it.
I mean, I was not surprised by it, but
it was there when they had it be he wasn't affected by kryptonite, and they did have it be that Superwoman Lois was pregnant in World's Finest.
They did tease it.
So yeah, I'll be honest. This is the best way they can handle and finally move forward. And I had to tell Tevye this. Technically, Slot is acknowledging that Cope theory.
Yeah, I agree. It's because most people were thinking about the age up. Jon could have been the Ultra Boy originally, but instead, but they decided to make it the other way around.
Even you have to admit, Jheat, that's an acknowledgement.
That's an acknowledgement of the theory, just not the way people want. And I get Super Sons as a good book. It didn't sell well, but it gained an occult following. I can acknowledge that.
Yeah, most things that at the time when they happen, they don't get much followings, and then get the following comes later. It's unfortunate, and I think Sam Lee also told you and Jarell when they were interviewing him some few years ago.
I mean, you even got an animated movie. It wasn't a direct adaptation per se. It was basically it was a standalone. It was an
original story.
But at least you got a movie adaptation out of it, like that, and a relatively recent series, and it gets commissioned for an anime adaptation within the span of 5 years of release. 5 years.
Now that was done. That was done to see do people.
You know, I would like to say that if they had switched places with that movie and League of Super Pets, it would have gotten better coverage.
Wait, you saying the Super Sons Adventure Superman? What was the movie called? It was a long ass title.
What? The battle.
If Battle of the Super Sons had been made to happen, had been given theatrical release and coverage that was given to League of Super Pets, it would have had better coverage and maybe better reach for a larger audiences.
Here's the thing.
Super Pets was basically just a.
Here's the thing, though. It was meant to. This was meant to see if people still wanted Kid John.
Yeah, they could have done it better if they had given. It was a movie, but ultimately it was just a movie that was left out to die.
Well, that's what a lot of these straight-to-video movies are, though. To be fair.
Yes, because the higher ups don't have any real faith in it. They just made it out of obligation.
Yeah, but
here's the thing, though. That meant if people had galvanized together and bought it in droves, it could have been able to make a point to Warner Brothers and DC. But it didn't.
Potentially. I will not refute that, Robert. But we have to look at the optics. Okay, you know what? Let's not look at the optics in terms of whether or not you could justify a theatrical release for such a basic story. Let's go beyond that. What personality? John is basically Goten from Dragon Ball Z. Other than being a mini Goku or a mini Superman, John has barely any personality other than being a lackey or sidekick to Trunks/Damian, respectively. What personality that makes John stand out prior to the age up? I will argue I will say John's age was poorly executed from this way to Sunday.
And I'll say this.
But even I have to understand the concept was warranted.
And I'll say this. Slot has done great stuff with the Tomorrow Man moniker.
Thank you. Yes. I would say
he actually feels like his own separate character.
That's all people were asking for.
You know who else has done a good job with him? Nicole Maines.
Wait, when did Nicole Maines write John?
Secret Six.
With Dreamer.
All the Dreamer stuff.
the Dreamer, the love triangle they tried to do with John Jane Dreamer.
Anyway, it's still going on.
Wait, I thought they dropped that.
Nope. They still brought it up hard in the Pride event, which is canon, and because that's the point where she has a dream of her and John being a couple.
At least that's healthier than whatever he had with Ye.
Well, at least that's taken care of.
I mean, can't be worse than the whole Damian and Jen fiasco.
Ah.
And before because I could at least see one naysayer. Okay, first of all, I'm explaining this purely to make a point. You are not. This is a situation where you get all the timey-wimey pseudoscience does not change the fact that even if she was relatively adolescent at the time it happened, when she was bound to the boon of her ring by her brother, does not change the fact that by the time the present day rolls around, one, she's 4,000 years old. Two, the fact that she was at least somewhat consciously aware, even if she didn't physically age. And three, develops a trauma bond and romantic feelings for a 13 to 14-year-old boy.
Again, the only way I would accept it is she was in complete stasis and not aware at all.
That's the...
Wait, what?
It's a stretch, but at least it's plausible.
Well, yeah, because that's the case where mentally she didn't age at all.
Yeah, like that's.
Because I'm sorry, I do not hold it against them if it's physical, but she was still pretty much, getting frozen in ice. Because by that
logic to justify this right now.
Hey, by that logic, Supergirl should never be in many relationships because technically she's a much, much, much older.
Oh please! By the time, she's 45 chronologically.
But you still get, but she can't have anyone around her actual age because she'd be considered, again, big age gap still.
There's a Power Girl joke in there somewhere, but I'm not gonna say it.
But anyway, though.
Back to this.
But like I said, though, I think during the Dark Crisis, IBN would not believe Bruce is dead.
Okay, we've been down this road before. I've been through like 3 separate crises, interdimensional shenanigans, likely a throwback to something that had some BS before Flashpoint. You know what? Let's throw in a bingo book. Is it Wave Rider? Is it Monarch? Don't tell me it's that one guy who nearly screwed the multiverse. All years back.
Now I do think though he would at least then acknowledge though. That being said, was them off the board to the power vacuum.
Really? We dragged Pariah back for this? I can just see Ivan making a bit of a fourth wall joke. Really? You guys are so out of ideas. You dragged Pariah back for this?
But then when he finds about the Great Darkness, then he'd be like, okay, that's different.
Yeah.
I'll give you points.
And maybe was there also that and with even there's the whole that and we're supposed to just take Black Adam's word on this.
That too. By the way, I gotta say, I did like how they made it clear the Great Darkness was not truly the villain. It was corrupted by Pariah and did what it did. That way, and you could say the Great Darkness influenced Perpetua. It wasn't the cause of Perpetua's actions. Would you agree with that, Jheat?
I don't like how the symbiote was originally before it was just turned into a corruptor.
True.
I mean, to an extent, in Swamp Thing originally, it was okay. Let me say that before I make a mistake. The Great Darkness is a force of nature. Let's say Kid Buu, for example, and if we're going to use anime references, it's a force of nature. It is not a distinct personality or character in of itself.
In fact, the black hand or whatever the black hand or the hand, whatever that is, that was from Multiversity, it has more of a malevolent force. Yes,
I would argue.
Which I gotta say, I did love how it was revealed that was the hand that shook the hand with the light. I love that reveal.
The hand of creation. That was a nice touch.
Yeah. But yeah, now I would say though, that's why because it felt like, really? Now you're gonna say the Great Darkness was behind all of the crises when you just said it was Perpetua? That's why I say, no, it was still Perpetua. The Great Darkness just influenced her and it trickled down from there.
Yeah, but some writers aren't good at explaining it that way. But
even try to comprehend all that, it is just way too many moving parts.
But here's the thing, though. I do think IBN, for the sake of things, would have tried when Slade went nuts. Even he would be like, "Look, I get it. You're upset about Respawn," but Deathstroke wouldn't even listen to him. So he would try, but he'd be like, "Okay, you're not listening."
Ivan wasn't even at Titans Academy, though. That is an idea, though, but it would take away from Nightwing's big moment and reduce and downscale it to a 2v1. But it would be a nice Nightwing and Flamebird callback.
True.
There's a way around it, but let's be honest.
By the way, I gotta say, I loved John versus Cyborg Superman.
Dark Crisis had a lot of good moments. I will give it that.
Hey, I still enjoy Dark Crisis. I'll be honest. And Pika, you remember when you and I went over it? I still say it was the better closing of a Crisis trilogy than Final Crisis.
Yeah, it was.
Final Crisis was a convoluted mess. The bar wasn't exactly high.
No, but at least this one actually felt, if you go by Crisis on Infinite Earth, Infinite Crisis, and Dark Crisis, it's the end of the trilogy.
Yep. Pariah was a part of the Infinite Crisis. He was killed off during it.
Yeah, but he came back since.
So it would be that whole thing.
Yeah, but be fair though, the Monitors brought him back during Supergirl's run. I'm not kidding. He was brought back to life.
No, that's true. That is a very deep cut. Not everybody would know that.
Yeah, but I'm still annoyed they haven't followed up on Dr. Light's promotion during that.
Yeah, it's the whole thing that you need.
By the way, Pika, you and I have got to do a DCKO PTN.
Yeah, I agree.
Someday.
Yeah, but yeah, so we have Dark Crisis, which again, that one again, not that much really to build up. Wait, I just realized. Did you guys talk about the Terminus agenda or whatever?
We okay. You know what? I don't mind going back to that. But yeah. Basically, we said it to where Ivan Ivan would have been a bit more mature about it, saying that okay, I could be proactive, but I don't have to. But after the whole soul bond with Jen, for better for worse, and knowing about Elias, he would make arrangements with the Warden from Iron Heights. Like I said, I can't remember his name at the time of this recording, but and set up transport. But this takes a couple of days to pan out. And then we can have a on-panel scene of Billy discovering the secret prison, and that's where Deathstroke exploits his victim mentality to break the villains out in an attempt to kill Robin. Now, Slade doesn't want to unalive Robin. He's just doing it to prove a point, as we all know. And then Amico takes the shot, and then we go from there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I would say that would actually be a better setup for the Fallout, because you feel for Billy, like, okay, but you were in this altercation. You are a citizen of Gotham, supervillain out the wazoo, and you try to take a shortcut cutting around Ace Chemicals, and not surprised that you and your sister ended up in the line of fire of a villain altercation.
Agreed.
That's not victim mentality. That's just being young and stupid.
And then again, sealing up Jen in the ring. Oh, I'm sorry. Again, is there any reason why I keep saying Crush was the best part of that book?
Yeah.
Crush was the highlight of that run, not going to lie.
I don't even care that we don't know who her mother is anymore. I think that ship has sailed, but I'm glad she's going to appear in the Starfire cartoon.
Do we even want to know? Because Lobo, for all intents and purposes, is a degenerate. So do we even want to know?
Given how my guess is she probably was a good person, because how else did she get the chain? Obelisk.
Lobo wiped out the majority of his species on a.
Well, we already know that she's not full Caesarian.
No, I'm not saying in terms of that. I'm just saying that she literally sent Obelisk and sent her half across the galaxy specifically to get her away from him.
That's
or
true.
Worse, Lobo would try to unalive her out of inconvenience.
And he actually did.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
To the point where he then made a deal with Lex to be able to actually beat her.
But
Not
yeah.
to mention, I think most of Crush's issues could have also made meta acknowledgement that she wishes she had been in a better book than Clash as Titans.
But anyway, so yeah, we've had that, but yeah, we're up to Batman and Robin now.
Hold on, before we move on, would you give a Titans Academy tie-in for Shadow War? I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
Okay, the reason I say I wouldn't because one, Shadow War is bloated as it is, and the only reason to give a Titans Academy tie-in is to follow up on the Adam Glass one when editorial obviously wanted to bury it.
Yep.
For good reason.
Well, again, agreed.
But I wanted to hear your opinion on the matter before we move on, Robert.
I'm indifferent.
Okay. Continue.
By the way, I gotta say, I wish we got to see more of Crush as the leader. I wish we did.
I mean, wouldn't Amiko be the natural choice after Damian leaves?
True, but it was clear they were setting up for Crush because she was the breakout.
True. But
remember, she even said, "I'm leading them."
And I'm not even the biggest fan of Damian Wayne. Don't get me wrong. He's improved, and I've grown towards the character over the years. But even I have to admit, he was character assassinated bad in that run.
It was surprising to find out everything he did connected back to King's Run. That surprised me. Because by that point, it had been a couple of years.
Yeah, and they said it was... But would he lash out that bad, though?
Given how this is Damian we're talking about here, I should think he would have.
No, we've seen a version of Damian lose a loved one and crash out. That is Batman 666.
True.
Like, he would be a killing spree. No semantics, no Lazarus Resin. He would just go after the people who did it or anyone stupid enough to disrespect that loved one.
Well, but remember, though, Bane was believed dead. So he didn't have a chance to do it. So you have a person and you have him wanting revenge. The person he wants revenge on is believed dead. What's he to do?
Wait, are you referencing 666 or Task Force Z?
No. Remember, he wasn't even in Task Force Z, remember? I'm talking about the Joker.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was Joker that was revealed that Bane was still alive. Because it was then revealed that the Bane we were seeing in Task Force Z was Gotham.
Yeah. Thank you for clearing that up, Robert. Thank you.
Yep. Actually, you know what? Before we do Batman and Robin, we gotta do Batman versus Robin.
Oh,
or did you already do that?
Yeah, we'll give you the rundown. We'll give you the rundown. Basically, with Batman and Robin, I mean, because what's the best way I could repackage this? Basically, he wanted to pacify or purify the island as a safe haven for misguided youths and those who end up on the wrong side of life. Then he stumbles onto the totem that Mother Soul left. He ends up opening Nez's tomb and gets possessed for his trouble. I don't think Ivan would, and Pika would agree with me on this to an extent. I don't think Ivan would be dumb enough to open the tomb, or at least try to do it by himself. He would reach out to a magic user, even if it meant reaching out to Jin. He would reach out to a magic user to guide him on the process. He wouldn't try to do it himself and get possessed for his ignorance.
Fair enough, especially with how old he is by this point.
Huh?
Especially how old he is by this point.
If we're factoring Ivan 2000s, his original age, he'd be about 16, 17. Let's say 15 if you want to average.
I know, I'm just saying compared to Damian is what I meant.
Oh, compared to Damian. And Batman, by the time, okay, but as of Williamson 2021, Damian is 14 going on 15.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense for an early teen to be rebellious and pull a stunt like that. But as we've established in this 2-part series, Ivan would be closer to 17.
Agreed.
That is a potent 3-year distinction.
Right. But yeah, so now we're up to Williamson's Batman and Robin, which, what did you think about the female Hush?
Shush? I mean, standard breakout villain to kick off the run, but other than that, she's just
unremarkable.
She was just she ended up, I mean, her situation is just her getting screwed over by the medical board because she just so happened to work with Tommy Elliott and was his alibi when he snuck off to be Hush.
Yep.
She just got screwed over by the medical board, but she made for a decent red herring for the principal, who was a former League of Assassins operative who went on the run.
Wow, that sounds so lazy.
So she made for a decent enough red herring. Unless I have them backwards.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I had to switch over my headphones.
It's all right. Basically, I was saying that decent character to kick off the run. And there was a red herring involving the principal of high school, who was a rogue League of Assassins operative who was laying low, but Damian remembered him because she tormented him, critiquing him. And the thing she got excommunicado for was slapping him for being a brat.
You know what?
Damian had multiple tutors for Damian, just killed off and it just tied to a tire.
That felt like it was a gag. That felt like that was a gag.
That was done solely for a gag, because out of all, especially knowing how Talia became unhinged with Melissa, the moment Damian reached a certain skill set or mastery, that tutor was disposable. Even if she did make it out of the compound alive, she would be excommunicado and on the run unless she agreed to be a snitch for Interpol. And even then, I don't think that would have worked.
Especially by the time of Leviathan. When they had people within the Interpol.
No, she would not have lasted 5 years excommunicado on her own. I could see 2, maybe 3, but definitely not 5.
Again, not by the time Talia did the Leviathan. Not by that point.
By the time Leviathan was in motion, there was no way. But I think, as we know, it was a gag. But the only way you could fit this chronologically is if Damian was 6 or 7, like years before Talia established.
And then when she was incommunicado, it was long enough to bury herself.
Yeah, so
that I could believe. That if it was that many years, then she would have had a long enough time to bury herself into a hiding,
Yeah, fake her death and then go into hiding. The only way you could make that work logistically is either it was around the time she was appointed CEO of LexCorp, or a couple years after that, during the aftermath of Night of the Maidens, and Talia and Damian were laying low in Cambodia. Those are the only times she could have left.
But so now what about PKJ's run?
PKJ's run is a relative. It still has the father-son component, but it's a relative downgrade compared to Williamson.
I'm sorry, I did not care for the artwork. I loved the artwork on its own, but not for the story that PKJ was telling.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad run. I am not saying PKJ's run is bad. I am not saying that.
He was burning out.
Yes. And what was his name? The elderly man. What was his name?
I forget, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, I forget his name too. Someone will remind me in the comments. But this was basically a normal Gotham citizen who got roped into goon, not like that, goon work, which is henchman work. I don't know why they completely diverted the term. And then, first of all, he was dumb enough to take his son with him on a job. Yes, it was a simple handoff, but still, you would not take your son with you on a job like that. And all of a sudden, they weren't able to prove that basically the case got thrown out due to lack of evidence. When it's obvious the son in the truck ended up falling in Gotham Bay and sinking to the bottom.
Yeah.
Nobody signed a court order for Mexican to fish the truck out. Nobody.
Agreed.
But at the very least, you could have gotten a court order to at least search the bay for the truck, even if you couldn't find the remains. You could have at least gotten an order approved to search the bay at least.
Agreed. Now, different note. How would I even react during the fail-safe stuff?
I get why you did this, Father, but were you so busy lamenting and feeling sorry for yourself you didn't take the time to recalibrate it?
Or at the very least, did you have to rely everything on Alfred? No, that was the whole thing. The shutdown codes were only Alfred.
would there have been? Hold on. With fail safe, running around and Zurenar.
Zurinar was just a mess.
But I still like.
Good idea, but the execution are not too long.
Yeah,
it took too long. I think it was meant to end sooner, but because it was going to be vital for absolute power, it had to.
They had to drag it out.
I am still convinced that Jade, the Green Lantern, robot, is the Batman 66, Adam West Batman, Zurinar.
What? All the different personality. Yeah, okay. I forgot about that subplot in
Yeah, they had to be that all the different robot Amazos were the Zurinars.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That's why I'm convinced the Jade one has to be the Adam West version. The only reason will explain why he became a good guy.
Huh.
I completely forgot about that subplot. Shout to you, Robert. I subplot, but at least it gave Tim Drake some highlight. If your only saving grace of a run is glorified fan service and Tim Drake gets something to do, that is not a quality run. That is nostalgia bias at best.
You're talking about the Darsky's whole run?
Yes.
There's stuff I love. Issue 900. Issue 900, I love. That was a celebration.
It was.
Yeah.
And come on, having it be a place where either the Joker, if he died, he came back. If he was still alive, he got more say. If he didn't exist, he exists now.
Would have also been great if they had made Batman hold on and keep the costume he built himself during that issue.
Oh, I agree. That should have been kept.
Adam West utility belt and the Dark Knight returns back to it.
I just love them saying that.
Combination. It was a good combination of everything Batman.
And I loved. I love the whole. I finally met a Batman who's more prepared than I am. The shark repellent bat spray. I love that.
Yeah, I used that when we went back when we were going over my
fanfics.
Yeah, the fanfics which had Adam West Batman.
Yep, that's the idea. He's the most prepared. Which I loved. Even in the Planetary Batman crossover, they had to be that version had a bat. He said bat apology sprays my character, and it says bat female villain spray.
That may be a few stretches too far, but
yeah,
but come on.
Yeah, but
hey, at least you got to see John Cassidy, rest in peace, drawing that version. And but still, how would Ivan be throughout absolute power? I still stand by my statement. It's a good event, a very good event, and it makes sense. This is Waller's endgame. She's been wanting. You can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
Jheat, would you agree?
I agree because if the Zurinar stuff wasn't as dragged out as it was, I would enjoy absolutely. I will say that I see absolute power for what it is.
I'm telling if you go by the regular event, not the Batman tie-ins, just the main event.
Okay, that's what I'm alluding to. The main event, the tie-ins were kind of a mess, but
at least it was a handful.
Yeah, that's true.
That's one thing I've been loving. And if you notice, Marvel's been following that example lately. Armageddon and Queen in Black are mini events. Have you noticed that? They're not line-wide events.
I have noticed that.
Yeah, because with Avengers, for example, Armageddon, it's just the Captain America book that's tying in. That's it. And Queen in Black, it's just Venom, a bunch of one mini-series, and Black Cat. Yeah, think about that a second.
Gotham War ended on a
oh God.
Wait, are we still talking about Gotham War?
No, I just.
How did I don't even I don't want to know what you guys talked about. Even I don't want to know.
I'll just say this about Gotham War. There was no saving the Bat-Cat pairing after what happened with Tom King. That is the most direct I can say without sending at least one of you on a bloody tangent that's going to go on for 20 minutes. Not that I don't mind the content.
But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. But yeah, like I said, but yeah, you have absolute power. We have KO. Because really, Damian has not been that major lately. Especially because I feel like they've been trying to be more. Now, I do think IBN would be ticked. Oh, just as ticked about him stepping away just so he could be with Bernard.
No, he would not. He just wouldn't be childish about it. He wouldn't be, he wouldn't be childish. Just, okay.
Hello. Sorry, you were getting garbly. You were getting garbly.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Drake, Kennedy. You were grieving your best friend who you secretly had a man crush with to the point that you had a trauma bond fling with his girl, with one of the Wonder Girls. Then you have been even through a literal flashpoint on and off with Stephanie Brown, who actively joined this cabal just to be with you. And then after one spat, because I went globetrotting half across the world dealing with my family baggage, with my great-grandmother, you were so stagnant, so banal, that you rebounded with a random schmuck you reconnected with. And who,
I might point out, had the hots for your stepmom.
I wasn't going to even bring that up, but thank you for reminding me of that, Robert.
A further reason why it was so clear Fitzmartin thought she was going to stick it to Willingham, and Willingham didn't even give a crap.
I mean, why really? That didn't work. The rights to the character.
Yeah, it was clear. That's the only reason why she picked it, because Willingham created it. So she thought, oh, he's going to be so ticked off, and he's like, I don't care.
And when that didn't work, she just gave a doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down.
And I still say it, and I still stand by this. The actual coming out of the closet was fine. It's done what was done to try and shut up the Stephanie fans. That was and even, I've said this before, I want my LCS, a girl there named Stephanie. She's the daughter of the owners. She is trans. And when I talked to her about it, even she was like, no. She basically said Tim was completely in the wrong, especially when he tried to claim, oh, Steffi was the one ghosting me. Connor, that's not what she said. All right, you two talk now, with air quotes. And it's like, really? That means it's all you. And yet she's like, Stephanie would be ticked. She would not be, yay, I'm so happy for you. Yay.
I mean, it's not even so much the whole No, I would argue this goes as far back as, especially since we're comparing both now. I wouldn't even say this would go as far back as when Damian ran away, because for all intents and purposes, even though the fandom exaggerates it greatly, Tim does resent Damian becoming. But what Tim resents about that is the fact that when Grayson took on the cowl, Grayson chose Damian over him. That's what Tim's really mad about. Damian was just an easy target. And even then, it also didn't help that Damian was going out of his way to rub salt in the wound. But of course he would. He's 10. He wasn't old shit at that age.
I still remembered. What did Tim change? Did Dick change the password on Tim's computer too? So knowing that Damian would never get it.
What?
Cousin Oliver. They literally changed the password. He's like, we'll get it. Damian is going to be right over his head. That was in Red Robin.
Yeah.
And that's actually the whole because when Damian was made Robin and the team became Red Robin, that's also, I think we talked about this when we did the
Damian Wayne retrospective.
Yeah.
We did
or even the team or some team video at the point, because Red Robin might have been the team's graduation role, same way how Dick became.
I love that. I love that book.
Became Red Hood.
Yes, it was his graduation from a sidekick to truly coming his own.
Yeah. So,
so his motivation for rebranding, his motivation for rebranding his hero identity was out of angst and spite. No one's refuting that. But even in spite of that, Red Robin was truly his own. He was a detective. He was the peak of his character up to that point, especially considering the whole point he had what he was in for 2 years from a publication prior, 3 for counting.
I was saying, especially when Fabian Nicieza took over.
Yeah, not to mention, I brought this up also while I was doing research in the whole thing. When Bendis was writing the Young Justice series, where Drake. Before they even went to Earth 3, where they ran into that other Drake, they were in the Kingdom Come universe where they saw Red Robin.
The suit was right there.
Now, unfortunately, it's because of the fallout with Alex Ross.
That's mainly why, but pay the man. It's a licensing fee just to use the suit. And even then, you got to pay somebody to use Red Robin Young. You got
the variant of the costume. Maybe not the wing suit, but some other same.
You could revamp the suit. You could revamp the suit, but
just use his new 52 suit. It was a good middle ground.
Oh, please, that was a glorified Falcon suit.
But hey. It was still something that could be fit with.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, but I'm just saying it could still match the Red Robin name.
Even the Kingdom Come Red Robin suit was given some modifications before the New 52 happened.
Yeah, because for all intents and purposes, it was a replacement for the Nightwing persona, and that was just Grayson coming out of retirement after 10 years.
Agreed. It was basically the equivalent, the similarity to the Earth 2 Robin, Dick Grayson.
Who never rebranded, by the way. Surprisingly.
Yeah, no, and that's why I still love the Infinite Crisis had to be a major point. But anyway, so we're basically there's not that much really to tap into what happens by this point.
Yeah, unless we're counting Matt Fraction, and that's because the writer solely wants to focus on Batman, and he's trying to do some type of conflict with. There is some character regression with Damian. But that's only if you go by Batman and Robin specifically. Damian barely played a role in Zdarsky's run other than just being the little brother or the brat of the Bat family. He barely, so really, and most time writers on a main book pick off right where the previous creative team left off, albeit with some tweaks of their own.
Yeah, and right now the only thing that Fraction has done so far is that
he's made Damian childish.
Yeah, and Damian called Bruce father while Robin costume in front of the doctor.
Yeah, what the hell?
And I'm like, first of all, Damian would never even address him as father on the field. I mean, he wouldn't be, Joey, he will do that, man. He wouldn't do nothing like that.
Not only that, but why? And I'm sorry, you're trying to say this great new love interest. She's an idiot. Yeah. She's a moron.
Yeah, all the potential was there in the design alone, design outlook, and the profession. She as a woman with a profession.
She should have clocked this immediately. Bruce is lying through his teeth, and she should have clocked this immediately.
Yeah.
Especially after everything was the Joker.
Yeah, and people have been memeing out the whole thing that Damian said all the things about the League of Assassins and something about tracking them and doing some other words, and all the things he heard was the father. Even the last issue, I don't know if that was the last week's issue where they had Bruce explain with some different context on how Damian came to be and why he's working with Batman as a Robin. That was just basically a monologue of Bruce telling it to her, and while she basically just stood there and was shouting like this, listening to it, and didn't say anything.
I'm sorry. Why is Fraction's run being so praised when it's had more and more idiotic moments? And I'm sorry, Tim just letting everything happen, especially what happened to Barbara. I remember he didn't have the context about it, so as far as he's concerned, she got arrested because he did help out.
Mm.
Oh,
I'm sorry. He should blame him. He'd be blaming himself because this happened while he's having a nice and homemade dinner with Bernard.
Okay, I get Fraction wanting to make a genuine attempt to get Bernard over because I'm going by what the man's saying on interviews, but this does not work. Okay, on one thing, half the time, this whole thing just boiled down to just baiting the audience, or the reader base. Two, Bernard has no real personality. Say what you will about Jay. Say what you will about Jen. Say what you will about Flatline. Hell, let's name some other bad parents, mind you. Say what you will about Hal Jordan, that one alien girl who abused her willpower to alter her physical age. Say
Arista, at least he's a main character.
At least they have freaking personality. Bernard is as bland as a piece of wood.
Yeah, it's just like if Fitzmartin has been quadrupling down, and Fraction is just passively. What comes after quadrupling?
Oh no, he's just being passive aggressive. Yeah.
Again, this is a reminder.
Autopilot or just.
Here's the thing. This is a reminder. People have to remember about Fraction. He's still part of the Portland Mafia.
Wait, what?
The Portland Mafia, all the people that was those comic creators who were from Portland that were very, very political with their views, like Bendis and Rutka and all that. He's still part of that group. He may be one of the better written.
It's official. We are getting demonetized.
You get my point, though.
Well, 2 hours and 5 minutes, Pika. We had a good run.
Dude, you get my point.
Oh God.
We started. Have we talked about it? When was the last time we into this? We talked about Ibn in the situation.
Good point.
Ibn, because Ibn most likely would not have slipped up the whole father thing with.
Actually, guys, I gotta get going anyway. I gotta get going.
Yeah, we're just wrapping up, man. We're just gonna do this last segment. All
right. Well, you guys do that, so I'll see you guys later.
All right, peace. But to wrap up this last segment, as for everything leading up with Fraction, Ivan would not do any of this. First of all, he's very regal, reserved, and aristocratic. If he's just there to scout and wait for Oja or any of the assailants to make a move during Bruce Wayne's date, he would just knock them out, leave the scene, and then just wait for Bruce's date to wrap up and give him any intel they could find.
I agree.
There was no point in this other than the sake of a gag and a cliffhanger to wrap up the issue.
Not to mention the whole thing when it's been going, Ibn would be older.
Yes,
okay, out of topic, but
go ahead.
With Damian, how he's been also, they aged him up to 13 back in 2017. That's almost 9 years ago by now. So
yes,
it would he be now in a? He should be now somewhere in
15. Let's just say 15.
Like early high school age.
Yes, early high school age. But he was 14 as of Robin 2021, but I think he's still 14 right now, unless a recent comic came out confirming he was 15. But he should be around 14.
Unless they do holiday specials, the more they can say it's still the same year.
Yeah, but yeah. So as of now, in main continuity, Damian is 14 years old. But Ivan, in our scenario, Ivan would be around 16 to 17. But it's just a different dynamic as a whole. I get what they're trying to do with Fraction, but I just feel like that it just depends on the execution. You can have father-son tension or Bruce not being a good parent or Bruce just being fed up. But especially from what came before, I just don't think Fraction's going to stick the landing. But I could be wrong. But last thing I'll say before we wrap up finally, because I know, man, it's probably going to be 3 o'clock in the morning for you by now.
Yeah, it's that meme right now.
Okay. The new butler, Farafay.
Well, she just made her appearance last week, and
on one hand, I want to say this is going to be a villain twist, but on the other, why do I get the feeling they just ripped off the Alfred's niece from Batman and Robin and called it a day?
Wouldn't be a surprise considering they introduced Chase Meridian some years ago. The whole Arkham Tower.
Yep. I would not be surprised. But I genuinely wanted your reaction on that before we wrap up.
Yeah, it's but they have been actually at least doing that the right way of making the readers be hungrier and wanting to see more of the character by having interesting design and basically other. But then again, they did the same thing with Dr. Annika. What was her surname? And we have just criticized how her characterization has gone stagnated in making her be an idiot and not recognizing the whole, making the connection between Bruce and Batman.
Yep. And as for Verity, Verity, we would have to wait and see. But I could either see either she's Oja in disguise, or this is just Alfred's niece from Batman and Robin. And there is no in between. And that's all. We might do a third part, make this a trilogy. We'll wait and see. Hopefully Pika and I will be able to collaborate and coordinate again in the future. And it was great seeing and hearing from you, man. Do you have anything to promote or got coming up on your channel?
At the time, I'm still working on the third part of my BVS review because I have been remaking it from what the version I did 5 years ago. The part 3 video covering the second hour of the movie, it became so long that I have turned it into 3 separate video projects. I may post one or a few of them as a sneak peek preview when I get one of or more of them done. But that's what one video I'm working on next now. And eventually, when the second season of Batman Caped Crusader comes out, I'll do a video on that. And who knows, we could probably do some.
Oh, if you want, we can go ahead and collab on that, since I believe that's going to be
because we did the first season already. Also, maybe do some better coordinate on it.
Better coordinate, yes, because I kind of just sent you an audio tape and kind of edited it together, compiled it.
Yeah, together. I did it mostly because like I said, it's a certain length, and I need to have some few parts of what you had to say. Not everything, just some key parts that fit there.
Oh, okay.
And then also there's we have Nightfall coming up, and I need to eventually watch the video I did with Robert a few years ago and do some French lines on everything I need to get from here.
It's going to be a hot minute. It's going to be a hot minute, folks. As for, you know what, since this is the last topic, I'm just going to mention it anyway. I'm not confident in the DCU. Not just because Supergirl flopped at the box office. We all know that movie was going to be bad.
Yeah, my review on it is already out there, separate from the comic, which I also reviewed.
I will also hopefully try to pin that as well. So that is your Supergirl review. You know, just everything you've reviewed.
Comic review and movie review are 2 separate videos.
I'll just pin his channel. Either I'll pin a link to his channel or put in the description, and y'all can check it out for yourself. As for me, my review of Mandalorian Grogu, and I was fan requested to do a review on Supergirl, so I'll probably get those out to you in a week or two. Hopefully, both will already be up by the time this goes up. But like, comment, and subscribe. Thank y'all so much for your time tonight. Flame off.
Niin, oli paljon